So now we're going to take a look at another really common situation that we need to repair. That's loose screws. Very often when screws are installed and loosened and installed and loosened over and over, the hole ends up becoming too big, and you'll have situations like this where the screw is just really loose, and as you keep tightening and tightening, it just ends up spinning. It doesn't have a lot of bite. So I'm going to show you two quick ways to repair that are a little bit more longer lasting than a toothpick shoved in the hole. Okay, so we have both of these holes that are too big. They're stripped out. So a screw won't bite in there. They're just spinning and spinning, and they're not going to hold anything. So I'm going to show two different ways to repair this that are going to be long-lasting but strong. The first is to take simply this epoxy putty that's available at many hardware stores and use this to fill the hole. The thing I found about this, though, is the problem with putting filler in the hole is that it's a circular hole, so it doesn't have anything to bite onto, and it'll just pop back out. Especially when you put a screw in there and tighten it, it sort of just turns it all. So what I do is, you'll see I'll drive a drill bit into the side to give it a little bit of bite around the edges, and I'll show you that here. So just a little bit in there, a little bit in there. And so the inside of that hole now has got all this surface that the epoxy can bite into. So when I install the screw, it won't spin it out. So the way this epoxy putty works is just take a razor blade. I don't need much. Just trim a little bit off, and you can knead it with your fingers. Once you have the epoxy kneaded, we'll put it in the hole. So what I'll do is roll it out like this so I can get a start, and I'll use the awl to push it in. Now the real goal here is to get it into the holes that we drilled. We want to be able to push it in there all along all of the jagged edges. Remembering we are going to be putting a screw in there, so we don't need to fill it up to overflowing. We just want to fill in the sides. And that's pretty full. I just make sure that the hole that I leave in there, if I leave any hole, that it's smaller than my screw is. So that when this is fully cured in about 20-30 minutes, then I'll drill a new hole that's the appropriate size for this screw. And that's a really quick, easy, and strong way to repair that. So an alternate method is to fill it with something solid. So some people would put toothpicks in there and glue those in, but I find they crack and they kind of chip out in little pieces. So what I want to use is muslin, because that'll actually lay down in there nice, it'll fit the contour, and when I screw that screw in, it'll bite into it much more easily than it will a toothpick. So I'll show you how I do that. So with this, all we need to do is cut a little strip. And it doesn't need to be a big piece. And I have my hide glue here. And so by dipping it in, getting it wet, now this will be glued into the hole. And I'll just use the awl to work it in. So this is similar to the toothpick method, but I find that it holds a whole lot better. And it is very reversible, because if it was a piece that was really special and you felt like you didn't want to damage the object, you could undo this with just a little bit of warm water and pull it right out.